Your plan.
Sometimes it just starts with a decision.
To take the first step.
To pick back up.
To keep going.
And to see it through.
Showing up when it would have been easier not to.
Making the time even when it's tight.
Finding a community that makes it feel possible.
Mastering what once felt out of reach.
Progress doesn't always look perfect.
But it adds up.
Now I'm stepping into what's next.
More prepared.
More connected.
More certain of what I can do.
And this moment means something more.
Because of everything it took to get here.
But no matter where life takes me, I was a Raider first.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Roane State Community College's 2026 Commencement Celebration. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing. Gentlemen, please remove your hats for the presenting of our national and state flags as well as the playing of our national anthem. Color Guard, parade the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Color Guard, please retire the colors. I would like to thank the Oak Ridge High School Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps for presenting our national and state colors. A round of applause, please, for them. I'd like to also thank the Roane State Jazz Band and our vocalists under the direction of Brenda Luigi for their wonderful musical performances this afternoon. A round of applause for our musicians, please. At this time, I would ask you to remain standing for our invocation, and I would like to introduce Pastors Ruben and Nora Barboza Martinez. They hail from Uruguay and have served as pastors of El Faro Church of God for the past 15 years. They have been involved in ministry for over 40 years, having served their native country in the medical and the military fields, as well as pastoring at our local church. Welcome, pastors.
Buenas tardes.
Good afternoon.
Felicitaciones a todos.
Congratulations, ladies.
Oremos, por favor.
Let's pray.
Amado Padre Celestial, hoy te damos gracias por este día tan especial y por cada estudiante que hoy se gradúa.
Heavenly Father, today we thank you for this special day.
Reconocemos que cada logro ha sido posible por tu gracia y guía.
We recognize that every goal has been possible through your grace and guidance.
Te pedimos que continúes dirigiendo sus pasos, que sus decisiones reflejen tu voluntad y que usen sus talentos para hacer el bien.
We ask that you continue to direct their steps, that their decisions reflect your will, and that they use their gifts to do good.
Bendice a sus familias, amigos y maestros por su apoyo constante.
Bless their families, friends, and teachers for their constant support.
Ponemos su futuro en tus manos. Dales valentía, sabiduría y humildad en todo momento.
We put their future in your hands, Lord. Give them wisdom in all they do.
En el nombre de Jesús. Amén.
In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you so much, pastors. You may be seated. In 1971, this institution was created by the Tennessee General Assembly. Roane State Community College was named after the second governor of Tennessee, Mr. Archibald Roane. Roane State now serves more than 5,400 students on 11 campuses in 2 time zones. And once again, on behalf of our faculty, on behalf of our staff, on behalf of all of our students, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to Roane State Community College's commencement ceremony for 2026. Thank you for joining us. Absolutely. So here's our rule. This is obviously a solemn or a formal affair. We are all dressed up, okay? But this is not a solemn affair. So what we would ask of you, students have worked so hard to be where they are, you feel free to do some cheering and some celebrating for them. You think you can do that for me this afternoon? Assistant Professor of Nursing, Gabrielle McAteer, is our mace bearer this afternoon. She led the faculty into the hall with our college mace. Professors Isabel Benitez Ramirez, Ashley Galloway, and Daniel Starnes are our faculty marshals. We're grateful for all of them. Please join me in a round of applause to thank these faculty members for their service today. Now, during Roane State's 4 commencement ceremonies, we are gathering to celebrate more than 1,000 graduates who have reached a major milestone in their lives. And I offer to each of the graduates here this afternoon our commendation, our congratulations for achieving your degrees or your certificates. Each one of you has a unique story of overcoming obstacles, of reaching your goals despite challenges that could have easily altered your paths. So the journey may not have been easy getting here. In fact, I doubt that it was easy, but it was certainly worth it. You persevered and you have made it. We are so pleased to honor you as our graduating class today, and we welcome you into Roane State's alumni ranks. At this time, in fact, I would like to take a moment to recognize the many Roane State alumni in the audience. So if you have graduated from Roane State, if you've ever taken a class at Roane State Community College, anywhere in this hall today, would you please stand so we can recognize you and thank you? You may be seated. So to all of our alumni, I encourage you, please remain in contact with us. We are so excited to learn of the great things that you are doing, of your accomplishments, your milestones, of course. In turn, we'd like to share ways possibly in which you can support future students at Roane State as they work toward their degrees and certificates so that one day they can be sitting in these very chairs at their own graduation. Now, we truly consider each one of you our special guest, but there are certain individuals who have joined us this afternoon who are worthy of special recognition. So I'm going to ask these individuals to please stand while I introduce you. First of all, Jim Vandersteeg and his wife Erin, please stand. We welcome our distinguished commencement speaker, Jim Vandersteeg, and his wonderful wife Erin. I'll share more about Jim, of course, before his address in just a few moments. This year's President's Award recipient is Erin Summerall, our 2025-2026 President's Award. You will also be hearing from Erin in just a few moments. I'm also very thankful to have one of my bosses here. TBR Regent Angela Richardson is here. Thank you so much, Regent Richardson, for being with us this afternoon. Please join me in welcoming all of our special guests, please. I'd like to now introduce the other members of our stage party. They will participate, of course, in this ceremony, and I will ask them to stand as I call their names. First of all, on your right is Dr. Diane Ward, our Chief Academic Officer and Vice President for Student Learning. In the second row, Dr. Joel Greenlee, Dean of Humanities, Dr. Susan Malikpour, Dean of Mathematics and Sciences, and Dr. Patricia Jenkins, Dean of Health Sciences. On the third row, Dr. Cody Miller, the Dean of Student Academic Support Services, and Dr. Shelley Esquivel, the Director of Student Services, as well as Dr. Leah Deasy, the Dean of Social Science, Business, and Education. On your left, in the second row, again, Pastor Nora Barbarez Martinez and Pastor Ruben Barboza Martinez. On the third row, Professor Darren York, serving as our Faculty Senate President. And again, Professor Gabriel McAteer, our Faculty Mace Bearer. A round of applause, please, for our stage party. Once again, this afternoon's commencement speaker is Mr. Jim Vandersteeg, and I'm so thrilled to have Jim with us this afternoon. He is the President and Chief Executive Officer for Covenant Health, a community-owned health system serving the East Tennessee region. And like Roane State, they have lots of campuses spread out. We share that. Many of you probably recognize that name because not only is Covenant Health a comprehensive provider and one of the top employers of Roane State graduates, many of whom are sitting in this audience, our new Knox Regional Health Science and Education Center that we share with TCAT Knoxville bears the name the Covenant Health Campus in honor of their very generous gift of land across from Park West Regional Medical Center, and that frankly made that project possible. Jim Vandersteeg joined Covenant Health in 2007, served as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer prior to being named President and CEO in April of 2016. He graduated from Memphis State University with a bachelor's degree in biology and then received a master's in healthcare administration from Trinity University in San Antonio. He is a fellow in the Health Ethics Trust. That's the highest individual recognition given by that organization, and he has been named to Becker's national list of nonprofit hospital and health system CEOs to know. He's a member of a number of boards, leads a number of other community organizations, gives generously of his time, and he does not want me, nor does time permit me, frankly, to read the list completely. But I will tell you this, that in getting to know Jim and his passion for healthcare and for the work that you all do and are going to do, he is an incredible, passionate leader in this region and beyond this region, frankly, also in the Southeast and nationally. I have come to know him as a friend and as a passionate advocate again for what we do at Roane State, supply workforce, skilled workforce into the healthcare system. And I will tell you that my grandfather used to say that his highest compliment of someone is to say, that man's word is his bond. And I will tell you of Jim Vandersteeg, not only is he my friend, I also count him as a mentor. His word is his bond, and I am very grateful for him. Would you welcome Jim Vandersteeg to the stage?
I think I'm a little taller. Thank you, Chris. I'm going to, just say to each of you here today that I'm so proud of you. And I know as I look around this gymnasium, there's so many people in this room that are here to celebrate you. I want to start out with something that's a little strange. It's an apology. You say, what's my apology for? I have severe allergies. Does anybody in this building suffer with me? And so you say, why are you telling me that? Because as I'm talking, at some point in time, if I sound like a 14-year-old boy going through puberty, it's okay. I'll get over it. But again, thank you, Chris, for the opportunity for being here. And again, congratulations to each of you in this room. When Chris asked me to do this, my first question was, who am I speaking to? And when he gave me the list of what you all are getting your degrees in this room, I was like, I definitely want to speak to them, because this group in this room is full of healthcare workers and future healthcare workers. I also want to take a moment to thank all of the teachers, professors that are here. Without them, we cannot raise and we cannot help people gain the skills and the talents that they need to move on to the next journey in their life. Chris told me I had about 15 minutes. For anybody that knows me very well, I can't do anything in 15 minutes. But, Chris, I'm going to try so you can put me on the clock. But I want to spend a couple minutes with you. And I like, and by the way, I've been at college commencement ceremonies. I remember some of mine, and they were not 15 minutes. And I wanted them to be 15 minutes. So I'm going to be really careful. So I'm not going to talk real long, but I want to hit a couple of key things, and in all honesty, knowing the audience that I'm talking to. I'm going to share 4 thoughts to encourage you as you move into this next phase of your journey in your life and in your career. The first thing I want to ask you to think about, again, you're going to be in healthcare, you're moving into healthcare, is that you know your why. You know why you're doing this, right? The reality is there's going to be days, and some of you in this room, you've already worked in healthcare, right? So today is that next phase for you, but there's going to be days that are going to be, the sun's going to shine bright, the birds are going to sing. And then there's going to be days it's not going to be that way, whether it's a difficult patient, a difficult family, some bad outcome that's occurred. And it's going to be extraordinarily important that you know your why. Healthcare is like no other industry. You say, well, how is it different? Well, you think about how does anyone start in their journey when they need healthcare? Well, first of all, we start by asking you some questions, right? We start by getting some information from you. And we get information from you that you would give no one, right? So we're going to find out your name. We're going to find out where you live. We're going to get all your numbers, right? We're going to ask you for your Social Security number. Some of you in this room, if your spouse called you today or texted you today and said, I want your Social Security number, you would say no, right? Today, if you go to the grocery store and on the way checking out, if they say, hey, to get this food, you got to give your Social Security number, would you give them your Social Security number? Please say no. Don't give them your Social Security number. And then we're not going to stop there. We're going to ask you about the history of your family's health care, right? And we may even ask you, hey, have you been in these countries over the last 6 months? And so you say, well, why is that so different? Well, think about, if someone's going to get that kind of information from you, what do you have to be able to do? You have to be able to trust them, right? You have to trust, if I'm going to give you information that I would give no one else, I might even not be willing to give it to my loved one. I got to trust you. Let's enter further into healthcare. I, not long ago, had an MRI because I did something really stupid with one of my knees. And you say, how does that process go? Well, you go through registration. And I know some of you in here are going to work in radiology. And then they're ready to take you back, and they take you to a room, and they say, hey, we need you to disrobe, right? Now, hopefully there's no place you can think of that you go that they say you have to disrobe, but you have to disrobe. And by the way, we're going to give you this lovely, beautiful gown. Have any of y'all seen that lovely, beautiful gown? Have any of you ever worn that lovely, beautiful gown? And you know, if you don't tie it correctly in the back, that you will show the world things you never intended them to know, right? So now you've gotten my information. You now have asked me to maybe put this beautiful gown on. Boy, you know what you're saying, what they're saying to you? Can I trust you? Right? Can I trust you? Then maybe like me, you go to surgery. You say, what's surgery like? Well, y'all know what anesthesia is, right? You know, if someone asks me, what's a layman's way of understanding anesthesia? Here's what it is. There's fully awake, fully aware. The other extreme of that is death. What's anesthesia? It's right in the middle. We don't want you dead. You cannot be awake. Do you have to trust someone to put them under, to let them put you under anesthesia? And then maybe the next thing comes and a scalpel comes out. And I know we have some folks who are going to be working surgery in this building as well. When someone pulls out a scalpel, you have to trust them. So here's what I'm asking you to think about. What's your why? What is it for you that says, hey, you know what, when time gets tough, and it will, and it'll be wonderful at times, there's going to be days you're going to go home and you're going to want to tell everybody a story. Now you don't, by the way, you're going to talk about HIPAA. You already know what HIPAA is, right? Health Information Protection. You can't share that with everybody, but you're going to want to tell some stories because you're going to have some great days and you're going to have some great stories. But you're going to have to know your why to sustain you. You say, well, what's your why? My why is people. My why is those that we serve. And when I look at that, there's never a day where it's not worth it, right? Because when you think about the people we serve, they so need us, right? And so what you're going to be doing every day, you're going to be taking care of people that, in all honesty, this isn't their best day. Most of the people that come to see us in healthcare, this is not where they'd like to be. And they're going to depend on you. And I would encourage you, you got to know your why. If you don't know your why yet, start thinking about what is that why? Why are you going to be willing to do this? Number 2, commit to excellence. You say, why would I do that? Well, let me ask you a question. If you were needing health care, or someone you loved needed health care, and I said, hey, tell me, does it have to be good? Or for the one you love, would you say pretty good is good enough? For most of us, we would say, no, I want outstanding care when it's the time for the one I love to get care, right? Well, guess what? You're going to be part of taking care of thousands of people over the years, and they're going to be special. You may not know them. They're going to be special to someone. They're someone's mom. They're someone's dad. They're someone's son. They're made in the image of God. They're special, and they're going to need you to commit to being excellent. What does excellence mean? It means you're always learning, right? That as you get into the next phase of your career, and it'll be, once you get out there, it's going to be a learning time, but there's never a time to stop learning, because a commitment to excellence is worth it. In life, there's certain things you can get back. One of the things in life you will never get back is your time. And so when you invest your time wherever you go, whatever team you're on, whatever healthcare organization you work with, you are investing your life. What's your life worth? It's worth everything, right? So when you invest your time, I'm encouraging you to be excellent. My wife would tell you, one of my weird qualities is I like to go through cemeteries. Now, I got someone's attention. They go, okay, it was pretty boring, but now that cemetery thing's pretty cool. Why do I like going through cemeteries? Because I like reading that here's Mary, she lived. And she lived this many years. Sometimes you see someone, maybe they were 8, 10, 12, and you think, I wonder what their story was. Sometimes on the tombstone it'll say. But the reason I like going through cemeteries, I like to know someone lived. I like to know when they lived. I like to see, did someone write something on the tombstone? Did they say, loving mom? Did they say, great friend? And on all the tombstones I've ever looked at, you know what I've never read? Here lies so-and-so. They became average. It's not worth it to be average. This is your life. This is your time. And I'll encourage you to think about being excellent. Third point, be kind. There's a quote that says this, in a world where you can be anything, be kind. The people you're going to take care of, the people you're going to touch, the people you're going to serve, they're going to expect you to be very good at your technical skills, right? Many times they may not even be awake and aware of what's going on. They're going to need you to have committed to being excellent. They're going to need you to have committed to being safe and taking care of them. They're going to think that's a given. I'll tell you, it's not a given. It's something we've all got to commit to and get better at. But you know what they're going to want most of all? They're going to want you to be kind, right? You know, for those of you that are in this room who have had health care, and I guarantee in a room this size, most of you, in some way, sort of fashion, have received some health care. If I ask you to think about what you remember, I remember my daughter had 3 children. You say, what do you remember the most? Did you go in there with your badge and say you're the CEO of Covenant? No, but I have a weird last name. And pretty soon someone knows, hey, that's the CEO of the company. And what I loved so much was the nurse. Her name is Maya. If you ever go to Park West, you go find her. She's wonderful. So why do you like her so much? Because she was respectful to me, but it was not about me. She was so kind to my daughter. And that's all I wanted to see, right? So commit to be kind. The last thing I will say is this. If I asked you to think about, do you remember your high school commencement speech? I was trying to think, I remember a little of, it's interesting, I remember a little of my high school, the speaker, and a few things he said. I graduated undergrad, University of Memphis. I don't remember one word. It was a huge crowd. I don't remember one word. I graduated from Trinity University, a master's degree. You say, what do you remember? Not one word. You say, so what's the best commencement speech that's ever been given? I'm going to tell you what it is. This was many years ago. A gentleman stood up, and here's what he said. He stood up and he says this: never give up, never give up, never give up. And sat down. Now, a lot of you go, I wish you would have done that. Well, I'm getting close to the end. That is powerful. As I stated earlier, you're going to have some days that are going to be wonderful days, but you're going to have some days that you're going to go into work and real life came with you, right? The things that happened outside and in home and in your family and other places, it's just, we don't get to completely leave that out of our work, do we? And sometimes it's going to be hard. Sometimes it's not going to be what you want it to be. Never give up. Never give up when you're tired. Never give up on those days when you're going, hey, you know what, I wish I had more resources today. Never give up when hardship comes in and outside of work. You say, why should I never give up? I'm going to go back to the first point. Because they're going to count on you, need you to never give up. They need you to care for them. They need you to be kind to them. And when you do, what you're going to do is you're going to live a meaningful life. So one day, I had someone ask me, I was in a speech one time, and they said, hey, what do you want on your tombstone? I thought, well, that's kind of a crazy question. What do I want on my tombstone? I thought about it. Here's what I said. I wanted to say, he loved God and he loved me. You know what? In this room, y'all are going to make a difference. You're going to touch the lives of so many people that are in incredible need, and they're going to need you to be kind. They're going to need you to never give up. So I was told I cannot recruit while I'm here, but I have the microphone. No, I'll be careful. There's a lot of great places to work. Covenant's a great place to work. And if you have a commitment to being excellent, if you have a heart of kindness, if you have a compassion for people, you've chosen the best thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim, for your message. We didn't say anything about when you're shaking hands. I think you're a little more freedom to do recruiting when we're going to be having our folks coming across the stage in just a few moments. But first, we have another wonderful speaker. I'd like to introduce to you again our President's Award recipient, Aaron Summerall, who in just a moment is going to speak to his fellow graduates and all of our guests today. Aaron is a first-generation college student whose leadership reflects a deep commitment to service, deep commitment. Also to connection, to community impact. He plans to transfer to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville to pursue public affairs with a focus on health policy and rural development. At Roane State, Aaron has distinguished himself as a member of the Student Leadership Program, working alongside institutional leadership to support student engagement and strategic initiatives. As the 2025-2026 Central Region Vice President for HOSA, that's our Future Health Professionals Group, he represents more than 330,000 members worldwide. His commitment to service is evident in his work with Volunteer Tennessee, as well as Wesley House in Knoxville, where he serves youth, families, and seniors. He's a recipient of the Governor's Volunteer Stars Youth Award, the Roane State President's Award, again I mentioned, as well as multiple leadership honors. Aaron brings a people-first approach to every single space that he enters, and it's our honor to have him speak to you today. Please join me in welcoming Aaron Summerall.
Thank you, President Whaley. I think one of the most universally terrifying experiences that Roane State can give might actually be communications class. You know, the moment when your professor, first day of class, says, okay, everyone, we're going to go around the room and introduce ourselves. Suddenly everybody forgets their name. You know, your hands start sweating. And, I mean, you could practice your line 17 times in your head, but then when it comes time to say it, it feels like a life or death situation. But honestly, I think that represents something bigger. Because a lot of us, for a lot of us, Roan State was the first place where we learned how to introduce ourselves to the future. Some of us may have arrived here by design. Others may have arrived by detour. Some even may have arrived by saving grace. But somewhere between no sleep, uncertainty, second chances, setbacks, and moments where we almost doubted ourselves, many of us learned something very important. That in a world that can sometimes feel gray, people still have the ability to bring color to it. Not just the artists, not just the musicians we listen to, but just people. Ordinary people. Ordinary people with courage, with compassion. Ordinary people like me and you with grit. Ordinary people who choose to keep going. Now, Raiders, we know something about that. We really do. And I can tell you firsthand that I've lived it too. Growing up, you know, I was a little kid and I always wanted my life to mean something. I just didn't know which color to use, which color to add to the world around me. You know, I didn't know which colors to use just yet at the time. You know, I didn't know whether I belonged in rooms where people seemed to have already known which one to use. You know, I was raised by a family who gave me more love than resources, but the certainty didn't always come easy, but it was earned. I was given encouragement. My parents gave me more encouragement than they even realize. Now, my grandparents didn't graduate high school, but let me tell you, they gave me something even better. They gave me something more important. They taught me perseverance, as I'm sure many of you have been taught the same. They taught me humility. They taught me how to work when things got hard, how to keep going when the path was unclear. And growing up in a house full of siblings, parents, all the things, well, noise, responsibility, resilience was always something I held close. But I also learned how to adapt. I'm sure many of you all have as well. But like many people here today, I also learned what it feels like to wonder if I could ever become the person that I'd always been dreaming about. I knew that there had to be more to this world than gray. I still remember one of the first moments when my life really began to change. On the first day of Roan State, for example, I sat in that communications class, introducing myself and talking about how I'd recently been elected to this state office for HOSA, Future Health Professionals. But what I had not told them all yet when I was making my rounds, doing that scary introduction, was how terrified that I had been just days before when I had just attempted to run for that office. I remember asking questions immediately on my first day. I was like, how can I get involved? Where can I grow? What else can I do here? And most importantly, at least in my mind at the time, I was thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to give more speeches. I've just been elected to this state office, which for somebody in that communications class felt less like leadership and more like developing a medical condition. But later on, my professor, she came to me and she told me something that I still haven't forgotten to this day. She said she remembered that I was willing to show up on the first day, in spite of it all, willing to try, willing to ask questions, willing to step forward and take advantage of opportunities even before I fully felt like I belonged in a room like that. But what she didn't know was just days before, I had had a truly intimidating experience. I would even say one of the most frightening of my life. So, like I said, I just decided to run for the state level position in an organization called Hosts of Future Health Professionals. And at the time, for someone being a first generation college student, being the first to do a lot of things, it felt out of reach. It felt impossible. I remember arriving up to the Knoxville Convention Center for the conference and candidate process, and it was one of my first times in my life where I'd really been outside of the community that I was used to, and especially in such a big way as it was. Suddenly I was surrounded by, we all know those students who look more polished, looked like they knew how to use the correct colors to add to the world. One moment in particular, I remember standing in the top floor of the Marriott Hotel, looking at the window, out of the window, as my parents drove away in the black Cadillac Escalade going down the highway. And I realized something quietly, but truly deeply in that moment. At that time, nobody could believe in me for me anymore. And at some point, I was going to have to decide whether I believed in myself enough to walk forward. And I want to tell you, Roan State, that experience really changed me. Later that week, thousands of phones and flashlights filled the room of the convention center. While the campaign music echoed, they wanted me to go on stage. Now my hands, like I said, hey, they were sweating. My heart was pounding. My thoughts felt tangled in my chest, and you know what? I stepped onto that stage anyway. Not because I was fearless, not because I wasn't scared, but because I was learning that courage and fear can coexist. They can be in the same space simultaneously. And honestly, I think many of us here today understand that feeling too. Because courage isn't always the loudest thing. But sometimes courage looks like showing up to class after you've just worked a 12-hour shift, raising children while earning a degree. Sometimes courage looks like starting over after failure, asking for help, walking onto a college campus when nobody in your family has before, or continuing to move forward when quitting would have been easier. That is courage too. And while I may not be everything I want to be just yet, I'm a whole lot of what I wanted to be just 2 years ago. And I think many of you all in this room, graduates, I think you all are too. You're a whole lot of who you once hoped that you could be just 2 years ago. That matters. You're a whole lot of who you thought that you could become. I've started to believe that the two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. I've also started to believe that the two most important time frames in your life are 1 hour and 10 years. 10 years reminds us to dream beyond where we are today. But 1 hour also reminds us that the future is built in small moments, smaller moments than we think. One difficult conversation, one class, one opportunity, one decision to just keep going, one brave step forward. But see, that's how lives are changed, truly. Changed slowly, sometimes changed quietly. Mine was loud. Sometimes, but most importantly, changed intentionally. And as we leave Roan State and move on to vastly different chapters of our lives after this moment, I hope that you carry that mindset with you. I want you to stay teachable, stay curious, stay humble enough to keep learning. Because talent alone, as we know, isn't enough. Talent becomes meaningful when it's shaped by discipline, when it's shaped by being humble. Talent alone becomes meaningful when it's shaped with consistency and genuine care for other people. Now, there's a quote I've always loved I want to share with you for a moment. Again, the two most important days of your life are the day you were born and the day that you find out why. And I think part of education is always about discovering that why. Not just the career you want, but really the kind of person that you hope to become. What kind of impact that you want to leave behind. What kind of energy that you want to bring into the lives of others. I want to encourage you to be intentional with the energy that you have. I want you to be intentional with your words. Be intentional with the way that you make your patients feel. I also want you to say what you mean. I want you to mean what you say. But think about this. Just try not to say it mean. And if life ever refuses to give you a seat at the table, I want you to bring your own wood and build it. Be bold enough to try. Be thoughtful enough to listen. Be courageous enough to grow. Be humble enough to keep learning. One of the greatest lessons this place teaches us is that differences are not weaknesses. Differences are advantages. Different stories, different backgrounds, different struggles, different perspectives, different dreams. That diversity is what creates color in our communities. And in a world that can sometimes feel disconnected, exhausted, and gray, that color matters more than ever. And the beautiful thing about art is that it can not only survive change, but it can truly lead it. And I think people do the same thing. I think every person in this room has the ability to create change and create meaningful experiences in the lives of others. Maybe it's leadership. It was for me. But also kindness, integrity, compassion, hope, the creativity in each of you. And maybe, just maybe, that's what being a Raider is truly about. Not having every answer, I didn't always, but continuing to step up to the plate, continuing to grow, continuing to move forward with that same courage that put you here in the first place. Roane State class of 2026, you're not finished products, none of us are, but today it really represents something important. It represents that we're capable of growth together. It represents that we are capable of rebuilding. We are capable of adapting. We are capable of becoming. So wherever life takes you next, bring color with you to this world. Bring it into your work, into your families, into your communities. Bring it into the room with your patients, into the conversations that need understanding, into the rooms that need compassion, and into that desperate world that we live in. Because this world needs more people who are willing to care. Because in a world that can sometimes feel gray, many times this world feels gray, but in a world that can truly feel gray, the color you add truly matters. Congratulations, class of 2026. We've done it.
Thank you so much, Aaron. At this time, we would like to recognize our veterans who are graduating today. Roane State is proud of every student. We are especially proud of the veterans who returned to college after their service to the United States of America. So, would our graduates who are graduating veterans and any of our faculty members who are veterans, would you please stand at this time? You will notice that some of our faculty members wearing red pins on their regalia. Students who are recognized at our recent academic award ceremony can present a red diamond pin to a faculty member who has made a difference in that student's academic journey. The red diamond pin is the most precious, the most rare gemstone in all the world, and the pin's diamond design symbolizes both the impeccable quality of the faculty member's teaching and the priceless bond between a student and teacher. And if you look around, we are blessed at Roane State to be surrounded by so many red diamonds. You will also notice that some students are wearing the following. Some are wearing a gold honors tassel for academic distinction, graduating cum laude. That means they are graduating with honors, a GPA of 3.5 to 3.69. They may be graduating magna cum laude, graduating with high honors, a GPA of 3.7 to 3.89. Or they may be graduating summa cum laude, graduating with the highest honors, a GPA of 3.9 to 4.0. We are so proud of the honors these students have earned, and we are so proud of all our graduates. And speaking of that, graduates, it's time. Dr. Ward, please prepare the class of 2026 for graduation.
Will the candidates for the associate's degree or certificate please rise? Yeah. President Whaley, these students have completed the requirements for the associate degree or certificate. On behalf of the faculty, it is my privilege to present them to you and ask that you confer upon them the appropriate degree.
And by the authority vested in me by the Tennessee Board of Regents and the state of Tennessee, I hereby confer upon you and each of your respective groups the Associate of Applied Science degree or the appropriate certificate with full privileges, honors, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. You may now move your tassels to the left. At this time, please come forward to receive your degree or appropriate certificate.
Alina Katrine Allen, nursing. Alyssa F. Branham, nursing. Mandy Nicole Brantlinger, nursing. Michelle Nashay Burt, nursing, cum laude. Kayla Nicole Bird, nursing. Caitlin Pearl Clark, nursing. Elizabeth A. Daly, nursing, cum laude. Shelby Dalton, nursing. Caitlin Mary Dougherty, nursing. Jonathan Mark DeWeese, nursing. Jessica Renee Dixon, nursing. Allison Grace Fox, nursing. Jessica Lee Fox, nursing. Jaden Rayleigh Gilbert, nursing. Tucker Casey Gagne, nursing, magna cum laude. Madison Haley Harris, nursing. Christy Faith Helton, nursing. Abigail Reed Hickle, nursing, magna cum laude. Kennedy Brianne Hines, nursing, cum laude. Aiden Carter Holt, nursing. Dakota Brooks Hood, nursing. Hannah Ray Hull, nursing. Chaitali Kansara, nursing. Amanda Lay, nursing. Carla Michelle Lay, nursing. Brianna Corin Little, nursing. Shanley Lynn Lowe, nursing. Taylor Stephen Lynch, nursing. Madeline Jane McEwen, nursing, magna cum laude. Chloe Abigail Mason, nursing. Kathy Jean McClendon, nursing, magna cum laude. Alexa Nicole Montgomery, nursing. Anna Lynn Moran, nursing. Emily Grace Moran, nursing. Whitney Brooke Newman, nursing. Nicole Shay Nolan, nursing. Jaden Nicole Patterson, nursing. Lindy P. Payne, nursing. Chelsea Taylor Pickens, nursing. Stephanie Nicole Posey, nursing. Shelby Ann Keelis, nursing. Amanda Michelle Rail, nursing. Jennifer Ribolito Perez, nursing. Lindsay Renee Ryder, nursing, magna cum laude. Vincent Vesper Rose, nursing, cum laude. Allison Grace Recker, nursing. Michaela Grace Rudd, nursing. Allison Grace Scarborough, nursing. Stevie Grace Scott, nursing. Emily Elaine Sheridan, nursing, summa cum laude. Rachel Joanne Sherrill, nursing. Charles E. Lynn Short, nursing. Jennifer Lynn Smith, nursing. Sadie Smith, nursing. Emily K. Spafford, nursing, cum laude. Brianna Faith Stagnolia, nursing, magna cum laude. Haven Cheyenne Stooksbury, nursing. Mackenzie Brooke Suzak, nursing. Kagan Alexis Taylor, nursing. Annalee P. Terry, nursing. Kayla Marie Teeter, nursing. Emily Grace Thompson, nursing, cum laude. Kylie Nicole Trinka, nursing. Haley Joy Tuggle, nursing. Briley Rayanne Vandinglam, nursing. Chelsea Lynn Venturini, nursing. Jacqueline Vinyl, nursing, magna cum laude. Kaya Webb, nursing. Michaela Reese Weber, nursing. Frances Elizabeth Wells, nursing. Jaya Riley West, nursing, cum laude. Caitlin Grace Williams, nursing. Caitlin Nicole Woods, nursing. Carter Patrick Abbott, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude. Jackson L. Barnett, Radiologic Technology. Abigail Faith Benson, Radiologic Technology, magna cum laude. Kristen Bokar, Radiologic Technology. Kesa Boland Gibbons, Radiologic Technology, cum laude. Chesney Rain Boyett, Radiologic Technology, magna cum laude. Nicole Elizabeth Brown, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude. Kenzie Charlene Carnes, Radiologic Technology, cum laude. Keaton Leah Carwell, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude. Jocelyn Olivia Causey, Radiologic Technology, magna cum laude. Justin John Aguirre Dobby, Radiologic Technology. Abigail Brooke Early, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude, honors associates. Nicole Ann Gilmore, Radiologic Technology, cum laude. April N. Hall, Radiologic Technology. Kristen Elizabeth Hastings, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude. Alyssa Taylor Houston, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude, honors associates. Kaylee Page Hughes, Radiologic Technology, cum laude. Tamara Sharice Hunley, Radiologic Technology. Madison Marie Jones, Radiologic Technology. Destin Renee King, Radiologic Technology, cum laude. Joshua Andrew Nauer, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude. Derek Scott Laney, Radiologic Technology. Hannah Noel Langley, Radiologic Technology, magna cum laude. Albert Daniel Loudon, Radiologic Technology. Philip Nikisher, Radiologic Technology, cum laude. Janka Kurvan, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude. Riley Catherine Poland, Radiologic Technology. Carly Allison Rucker, Radiologic Technology and AS General, cum laude. Reagan Lee Scarborough, Radiologic Technology, cum laude. Natalie Renee Shantz, Radiologic Technology, summa cum laude. Michaela Brooke Shadden, Radiologic Technology, magna cum laude. Ashlyn Victoria Stansberry, Radiologic Technology. Allison Page Taylor, Radiologic Technology, magna cum laude. Aubriana Rose Toomer, Radiologic Technology. Justin A. Wilder, Radiologic Technology. Catherine Louise Wilson, Radiologic Technology, magna cum laude. Oscar Barba, Respiratory Care. Michael? Just Michael, not Weston. Weston Michael Beaver, Respiratory Care. Jennifer L. Becker, Respiratory Care, magna cum laude. Catherine Carol Carpenter, Respiratory Care. Christina Narvez, Respiratory Care. Elisa Rose Ebal, Respiratory Care, cum laude. Chandler Nicole Estes, Respiratory Care, magna cum laude. Cassidy Sharice Gentry, Respiratory Care. Anna Rose Mina Godinez, Respiratory Care. Emily Madison Green, Respiratory Care. Josie Alexandra Jenkins, Respiratory Care. Shelby Ray Lowe, Respiratory Care. Samantha Page Tyler, Respiratory Care, summa cum laude. Lydia Abigail Wyrick, Respiratory Care, cum laude. Katie Irene Bunch, Surgical Technology. Amber Dougherty, Surgical Technology, magna cum laude. Cheyenne Mackenzie Davis, Surgical Technology, magna cum laude. Cameron Avery Dockery, Surgical Technology. Destiny Page Tucker, Surgical Technology. Madison Lee Williams, Surgical Technology, cum laude. Savannah K. Young, Surgical Technology, magna cum laude. Micah Eli Ellis, AS2, elementary education K through 5, cum laude.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we have a couple of traditions here at Roane State. One of them is sort of prerogative. I get the first selfie with the graduating class. So two things are going to happen here. I'm going to take a photo, and hopefully I won't fall off the stage. So everybody smile. Everybody got this? Everybody ready to celebrate? Everybody out there ready to make some noise? So graduates, I'm going to ask you to stand. And audience, we're going to count down. So we're going to do this in 2 steps. We're going to clap first, and then we're going to do the confetti. So first things first, audience, are you ready this time officially to join me in congratulating the Roane State Community College class of 2026? As you continue to celebrate, we would ask everyone to please stand for the Roane State Alma Mater, written by Dr. Joel Greenlee, our Dean of Humanities. Dr. Greenlee.
Please join me in singing the Alma Mater. In a clearing near the river stands a building bright and tall, built by dreamers, raised by family, reaching out to great and small, ever growing, ever changing, chances rise while hurdles fall. Roane State Community College, the foundation shaping all.
Thank you, Dr. Greenlee. Now, we're almost finished, but a couple more things. We cannot end without recognizing that each student has achieved a significant milestone in their lives. But as with any accomplishment, you've not done this alone. And perhaps most importantly, I expect that none of these graduates who have received their respective degrees or certificates have done so without the support of family and friends. And so, if you've played any role as a family member or friend, if you've offered a word of encouragement or helped in any way, we're going to celebrate you. Class of 2026, help me honor these folks who have helped you get to where you are today. Graduates, remain standing, please. As we've said before, Roane State faculty have challenged you, they've guided you, they've supported you, they've helped make it possible for you to learn, to expand your educational horizons. So, class of 2026, would you please join me in thanking the faculty of Roane State Community College? They have poured so much into your lives, and my challenge to you graduates is that you go out into the world and pay this forward to others through compassion and through service. I want to thank our faculty and staff who've worked so diligently. Graduations don't put themselves on. Lots of preparation to make this celebration possible, including especially the graduation committee, so ably chaired by Dr. Cody Miller, Dean of Student Academic Services. Thank you, Dr. Miller. Round of applause for Dr. Miller and the committee. Graduates, again, congratulations. Let's go celebrate. This concludes the ceremony. Please remain standing as the stage party, the faculty, and the graduate exit the floor.